Hello and welcome to our Facebook Live discussion. I'm Lucretia and I'll be your moderator for today. This is part of our ongoing series on protecting boys from sexual violence under our OAK project, which is funded by Family for Every Child. Throughout this series, we're sharing the experiences and perspectives from our team members across the regions. Today, we're joined by Myanka Sookwah, who is a counselor and forensic interviewer at the Child Advocacy Centre in Region 9. Welcome, Myanka, and thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me, Ms. Lucretia.
Right. So today we will be focusing on the Child Advocacy Centre and how have they been helping to prevent sexual violence against boys. We will be looking at how the CAC support boys, how trust is built, and how prevention works at a community and institutional level. And of course, we want you, our viewers, to be part of this discussion. Please share your thoughts and questions in the comment box. Okay, so to begin today's discussion, for those of you who is wondering or who may not have heard of the Child Advocacy Centre, we will touch a bit on that and what it's about and why its role is so important for child protection. Myanka, if you want to start off with this first.
All right. The Child Advocacy Centre, which we call CAC for short, it's a child-friendly one-stop facility that provides violence or trauma, such as abuse, neglect, and so on. So the CAC plays a critical role in child protection because it creates a safe, child-friendly space where children can speak about abuse or trauma without fear. Instead of being passed from agency to agency, the child only has to share their story once, which helps reduce emotional stress and prevents re-traumatization. So by coordinating services like the forensic interviews, trauma-focused counseling, and legal support, the CAC ensures that children receive the help they need quickly and sensitively. So that's what the CAC is about.
Great, thank you for letting us know about a little on what the Child Advocacy Centre is all about when it comes to child protection. For many people, they still believe boys are less likely to be victims of sexual violence. From your experience working within the CAC, why is it important to challenge this misconception?
All right, so this misconception, it's harmful because it leads to boys being overlooked, like when it comes to protection, support, and intervention. But in reality, boys can and do experience sexual violence, but they often stay silent due to shame, fear, or societal expectations. As many boys are taught from a young age that they need to be strong, not cry, or never show vulnerability. So when abuse happens, they may feel embarrassed or believe that speaking up will make them feel or seem weak or not believable. So at CAC, we see firsthand how this silence can delay healing and justice, challenging their belief that boys are less likely to be victims helps us create safer spaces where all children, regardless of gender, feel seen, heard, and supported.
Great. The CAC provides several specialized services. What services help boys feel safe and supported when reporting sexual violence?
So one of the most important services is the forensic interview, which is conducted in a calm, child-friendly room by a trained professional. The interviewer uses age-appropriate language and techniques to help the child share their experience without pressure or fear. So in addition to interviews, the CAC also offers trauma-focused counseling, which helps boys process their emotions and begin healing.
Great. And trust is a big part of this disclosure. How does the CAC build trust with boys who may feel afraid or ashamed or unsure about coming forward?
All right, here, building trust with boys who may be afraid or ashamed to come forward. So many boys feel ashamed or afraid to speak up because they worry about being judged, blamed, or seen as weak. Some may have been threatened and so on. That's why the CAC focuses on creating a safe, welcoming environment where boys feel respected and understood from the moment that they walked in. We start by listening without judgment and letting the child set the pace. As counselors, we use gentle, age-appropriate communication and avoid pressuring the child to talk. So instead, we build rapport through activities like play therapy. Mostly in the activities that I do with children, I create a small scenario where I explain to the child through a story, right? Or drawing. So these tools will help boys express themselves in ways that they feel natural and non-threatening. Consistency is also key. When boys see the same counselor each time that they come, it helps them feel more secure and build a sense of familiarity. We also make sure they understand that what happened is not their fault and that they are not alone. This reassurance is repeated throughout the process to help them feel safe enough to open up.
Okay, that's great. So we've talked about so far how the CAC, the services that they're providing, the safer spaces they're making, how comfortable the work has been applied so that boys can feel, a bit protected when they visit to talk about what they're going through. We've talked about how the trust is a big part of this journey for them and how they can feel, how they can build a trust with persons who are at the CAC and not feel afraid or ashamed. But I also want to touch on, we say prevention is just as important as intervention. Can you share some of the prevention programs the CAC uses to teach boys about boundaries, consent, and safe relationships?
All right. So the CAC places a strong focus on prevention because protecting children starts with education. So We here at CAC, we visit schools and hold sensitization talk where boys are taught about personal boundaries, the importance of consent, and what healthy relationships look like. So these sessions are interactive. As I mentioned, I think earlier, we use role play, stories, and so on. So in this way, it can make it easy to understand and memorable. In addition to schools, we also do sensitization talks at children's vocational Bible schools. This would be for in the communities, right? Since these are trusted spaces where children gather as well. So when we talk about boundaries, we explain the difference between safe and unsafe touches, personal space, and the right to say no if someone makes them feel uncomfortable. For consent, we teach boys that they must always ask permission before touching someone else, and that no must always be respected. For safe relationships, we help them understand that what trust, respect, and kindness look like, and how to recognize when someone is trying to manipulate or harm them. So here, the goal actually is to empower boys to speak up, respect themselves and others, and know that abuse is never their fault.
Good. And since we're on this particular question, I want to touch also on when we look at protection and what you've just said. How does the CSU work with parents and guardians who plays a major role in their caregiving or their parenting aspect? How does the CSC work with them to help recognize the signs that a boy may be experiencing any sexual abuse?
So the CSE understands that parents and guardians play a critical role in protecting children. So we focus on educating them to recognize early warning signs. Many boys may not openly say what is happening, but their behavior often changes, such as becoming withdrawn unusually, angry, fearful of certain people, or showing sudden drops in school performance. So parents may miss these signs if they don't know what to look for, which is why education is so important. So to support families, the CAC organizes parental workshops where the parents are taught about the emotional and behavioral indicators of abuse. So in these workshops, we explain how trauma can show up differently in boys compared to girls. And we provide practical strategies for starting open conversations at home. Parents also learn how to respond calmly and supportively if a child discloses abuse, rather than reacting with anger or disbelief, which can discourage a child from speaking further. So these are some things that we educate parents on, guardians on.
Thank you. And for persons who are now joining us on our Facebook live discussion, we would just like to say once again, this is part of our ongoing series on protecting boys from sexual violence, which is under our OAK project, and that is funded by Family for Every Child. With me today is Myanka, and she will be giving her insights on the work the CAC has been doing when it comes to protecting boys from sexual violence. So Myanka, boys are often told to be strong and to hide their feelings. And you've touched on this a bit in one of the previous questions. But how does the CAC address this stigma during counseling or intervention?
All right. So one of the biggest challenges boys face, I think I mentioned it, is the cultural expectation that they must always be strong, tough, and unemotional. So many boys grow up hearing phrases like boys don't cry or be a man, which can make them feel ashamed of expressing pain or fear. So this stigma often prevents them from speaking up about abuse, and it can delay both healing and justice. So at CAC, we actively break down these harmful stereotypes. We use a trauma-informed approach that reassures boys that showing emotions is not a weakness. It's part of being human. We emphasize that asking for help is actually a sign of strength, and we normalize conversations about feelings in a safe, supported environment. We also involve parents when appropriate, teaching them how to encourage emotional expression at home instead of reinforcing the be tough mindset.
And when it comes to collaboration, do you want to talk a bit on what collaboration do you do when it comes to the schools or the communities or police? Do you want to say what collaboration do you guys have, or who do you collaborate with when it comes to help and strengthen protection for boys?
Okay. So the CSC works closely with a wide range of partners like to ensure boys are protected and supported. So each partner plays a unique role in prevention, early detection, and response. So with schools, we don't just run prevention programs for children. We also reach out to teachers and educate them on how to identify signs of abuse. Teachers are often the first to notice when a child becomes withdrawn, anxious, or shows sudden changes in behavior. So by educating teachers to recognize these warning signs and report concerns, we strengthen the chances of early intervention. With community groups, we run workshops and sensitization talks that spread awareness about boundaries, consent, and safe relationships. So these groups help us reach families and children outside of formal school setting, ensuring that the messages of protection is shared widely. With the police, we work hand in hand to ensure investigations are handled sensitively and that boys are not re-traumatized during the process.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And I know you're a forensic interviewer. So when it comes to the forensic interview, which is a key part of child protection, can you explain how this process works and why is it important for boys who have experienced sexual violence?
All right, so the forensic interview is one of the most critical services provided by CSE because it ensures that a child's disclosure is handled in a safe, respectful, and legally sound way. So the process takes place in a child-friendly room designed to reduce stress and make the child feel comfortable. So as specially trained forensic interviewer speaks with a child using age-appropriate language, open-ended questions, and techniques that avoid leading or pressuring them. While the interview is happening, a multidisciplinary team, including a police officer, a child protection officer, and the parent of the child, they're the ones that observes the session live from another room through a camera on screen. So this setup means a child only has to tell its story once instead of repeating it to multiple agencies. The interview is recorded and transcribed word for word, which becomes an official statement to support the investigation and legal process. So for boys, this process is especially important because they may feel ashamed or pressured to stay silent. The forensic interview gives them a safe space to share their experience without judgment while also protecting them from re-traumatization. It ensures their voice is being heard clearly and accurately.
Okay, great. And since you are from Region 9, well, you're working in Region 9, what challenges does the CAC face in reaching boys, particularly in these areas?
All right, so some communities, as we're from Region 9 here, they don't have easy access to come to the center here, especially to do counseling. It's due to the distance or lack of transportation, right? So it's difficult for them to reach out to receive the services that we offer.
Okay, and I'm looking at the time and we will have to wrap it up. But on a final question, I would like to ask, so protection is everyone's responsibility. What would you say families and communities can do to help support the CAC's work?
All right, so families and communities are the first line of protection for our children. So their role in supporting the CAC is vital. One of the most important things families can do is to create open communication at home, where the boys need to feel safe talking about their feelings, experience, and concerns about fear of being judged or punished. So parents can encourage this by asking gentle questions, listening carefully and reassuring that the children that they will always be believed and supported. For communities can also help by participating in CAC programs and workshops. When families attend sensitization sessions, they learn how to recognize warnings of signs of abuse and how to respond appropriately. So this knowledge can spread throughout the community, creating a safer safety net for boys.
All right, thank you so much, Mayanka. And to everyone who joined us today, thank you for being part of this important conversation. We hope this discussion helped you to understand the role and the work of the Child Advocacy Centre, which plays a big part in preventing sexual violence against boys, and how each of us can work and support the CAC throughout in the regions. So every child deserves to feel safe, heard, and supported without judgment. Breaking harmful norms takes courage, and when families and communities and institutions work together, real change is possible. Thank you so much, Mayanka, for being part of our discussion today and for sharing your insights.
Thank you too.
All right, I'm Lucretia, and thank you for watching, and have a wonderful day.